My husband Vincent pretended to be paralyzed in a wheelchair for 3 years. On the night the cruise ship caught fire, a burning beam smashed my leg, and I screamed his name in agony, begging for help. He sat in the wheelchair, coldly watching me. "It's too far, I can't get there, crawl yourself." But the next second, his first love slipped and fell into the water. Vincent suddenly stood up, striding swiftly to the edge of the deck, and leaped into the pitch-black sea. As a result, my leg was burned and broken by the fire, my brain damaged by oxygen deprivation, and my intelligence permanently halted at 6 years old. 3 years later, Vincent went mad searching the world for me, finally spotting me begging on the street. He knelt on the ground, eyes bloodshot, to avoid me. "You've fallen to this level, is it worth it?" I tilted my head, looking at this strange man, pulled a candy from my pocket and handed it to him. "Uncle, your legs are clearly fine, why are you kneeling like me? Are you learning to beg from me? I only have 1 candy left, here you go." Vincent didn't take my candy. "Elena, how long are you going to keep acting?" His voice was loud. I flinched in fear, instinctively clutching the broken bowl to my chest. There were 3 yuan in the bowl, my dinner money for today. It couldn't be taken away. Upon hearing Uncle, Vincent's face darkened further. "Playing crazy and stupid?" he sneered, his gaze falling on my tightly clenched fist. He probably thought I was hiding something valuable. He forcibly pried open my fingers. In my palm lay a slightly melted, dust-covered fruit-hard candy. Vincent was stunned for a moment, then immense disgust surged in his eyes. "Just for this thing?" He snatched the candy and slammed it to the ground. His shiny leather shoe stepped on it, grinding it twice. "No!" I screamed, "that was my candy." I don't know where the strength came from, but I broke free from his hand and plopped down on the ground. Desperately, I dug with my fingers at the sugar powder embedded in the tile cracks. So dirty. But so sweet. I stuffed the sugar residue stained with dirt and shoe prints into my mouth, tears and snot smearing my face. Sweet, it's sweet. People around were watching, some taking photos with their phones. Vincent seemed enraged by my actions. He grabbed my collar and lifted me like a chick. "Elena! Aren't you disgusting?" I ignored him, just crying and looking at the sugar stains on the ground. "Compensate me. Uncle, compensate my candy." Vincent gritted his teeth, hoisted me up, and stuffed me into the black luxury car by the roadside. I banged on the window, watching the broken bowl left alone on the side. "Money! My money! Brother will go hungry." Vincent locked the door and ordered the driver to start. He turned, staring at me intently, eyes full of hatred. "Best if that wild man starves to death. Elena, since you love acting so much, I'll take you back to the place you most want to escape and let you act to your heart's content." The car drove into a large house. It looked somewhat familiar, but I didn't dare recognize it. The walls here were too white, like a hospital. The lights were too bright, like fire. The servants stood at the door, covering their noses at my filthy appearance. Vincent threw me onto the living room carpet. "Clean her up, don't dirty my carpet." Several maids came over and roughly dragged me into the bathroom. The faucet turned on. Hot water gushed out with white steam. "Ah!" I screamed, shrinking into the corner. "Fire! It's fire! Don't burn Elena!" The hot water poured over me, like the flames from the cruise ship that night. I hugged my head, trembling all over, teeth chattering. The maids impatiently held me down. "Madam, stop pretending, this is water." I struggled desperately, my nail scratching one maid's arm. Slap. The maid slapped me back. "Crazy woman." When Vincent rushed in, I was huddled in the bathtub corner like a drowned rat. My clothes had been stripped off. The large, hideous burn scars on my back, twisted like tree roots, were exposed to the air. Vincent's pupils contracted sharply. He seemed to want to reach out and touch the scars, but stopped halfway. For acting, you really went all out. He gritted his teeth, his voice unclear if sarcastic or otherwise. Brother Vincent? A coquettish voice came from the door. Chloe walked in wearing a white ballet skirt. She was so clean, like a white swan. And I was a rat in the gutter. Chloe saw the wounds on my back, a flash of disgust in her eyes, but quickly replaced with concern. Sister Elena, how did you become like this? Brother Vincent is doing this for your own good, how could you scratch the servants? I smelled her perfume. I sneezed and pointed at her. Auntie, you stink. Chloe's face stiffened, her smile almost failing. Vincent immediately shielded Chloe behind him, coldly looking at me. Elena, apologized to Chloe. I didn't understand. Clearly she stank, why should I apologize? I stubbornly pursed my lips, silent. Vincent lost patience. He turned to the cabinet and took out a red box. Opening it revealed a pair of red ballet shoes. Those were my most treasured items from 3 years ago. But now, seeing them, I only felt leg pain. The broken leg bone throbbed faintly. Didn't you love dancing the most? Vincent threw the shoes in front of me, put them on and dance for me. I won't dance. I shook my head desperately, shrinking back, leg hurts, fire, don't burn Elena. He thought I was protesting this way. Not dancing? He sneered, picked up the shoes, and strode to the fireplace. Fire burned in the hearth. If not dancing, then never dance again. He let go, and the shoes fell into the fire. Flames instantly devoured the red satin. No. Watching the firelight, a string in my mind snapped. Big fire. Cruise ship. Broken leg. I was so scared I wet myself on the spot. Yellow liquid flowed down my thigh, a foul smell spreading. Chloe exclaimed, covering her nose and hiding in Vincent's arms. Vincent looked at the puddle on the ground, his face ashen. He finally realized. The once proud Elena, like a peacock, was truly shattered. Vincent locked me in the room, forbidding me to leave. But I was hungry, my stomach rumbling. I missed the steamed buns my brother bought me. In the evening, the villa was lively. Vincent was hosting a family banquet. The servants brought me downstairs and pressed me into a seat at the table. The table was full of delicious food, but I didn't dare move. Vincent sat at the head, Chloe beside him like the hostess. Eat. Vincent coldly looked at me, aren't you hungry? I looked at the steak in front of me, it was raw, with blood streaks. I was afraid of blood. I shook my head, my eyes fixed on the small cake in front of Chloe. It was strawberry flavored, must be very sweet. Chloe noticed my gaze. She smiled and pushed the cake toward me. Sister Elena, if you want to eat, go ahead, don't be polite. I swallowed, cautiously reaching out. Just as my fingers touched the plate, a sharp pain shot through my inner thigh. Chloe's hand under the tablecloth pinched me hard. It was vicious. Ah. My hand shook in pain. The plate flipped, and the cake landed on Chloe's white skirt. Cream smeared all over her. Ah. My skirt. Chloe screamed, tears coming instantly, Sister Elena, if you don't want to eat, fine, but why smash it on me? This is the limited edition Brother Vincent gave me. Vincent slammed the table and stood up. Elena. He glared at me, is your jealousy this strong? Can't even tolerate a piece of clothing? I was so scared I crawled under the table. Hugging my head, shivering. Elena didn't. Auntie pinched me, it hurts. Vincent didn't believe it at all. Come out. He roared, pick up the cake on the ground and eat it. I didn't want to come out, but I feared being beaten. I crawled out, knelt on the ground, and reached for the cake mixed with cream. Chloe pretended to wipe her skirt nearby. Her high heel discreetly crushed a glass cup that had fallen on the ground. Shards mixed into the cream. I couldn't understand. I only knew obedience meant food. I grabbed a handful of cake, and sharp glass shards instantly pierced my palm. Blood flowed freely. Wah! I cried in pain, holding up my bleeding hand for Vincent to see. Uncle, it hurts, bleeding. Blood dripped on the carpet, shocking to the eye. Vincent looked at the blood, his heart trembling sharply. He subconsciously wanted to stand, but Chloe suddenly clutched her chest and fell into his arms. Brother Vincent, my chest feels so stuffy, must be from anger. Vincent's movement stopped. He looked at Chloe, then at me with bloodied hands. Finally, he turned away, hardening his heart. Take her away. No bandaging, no eating. Let her learn a lesson. The basement was very dark. No windows, only rats squeaking. I huddled in the corner, licking my wound. The blood had dried, sticky. So hungry. Missed brother so much. Suddenly, a loud noise from outside. Bang! The iron door was kicked, clanging. Followed by bodyguards' shouts and fighting sounds. Get out! Let me in! That voice, it was Ryan. I jerked my head up, light in my eyes. Brother! I stumbled toward the door. The door crashed open. Ryan rushed in holding a bloodied iron rod. He was covered in wounds, clothes tattered, but his eyes shone fiercely. Elena! Seeing my bloodied hands, his eyes reddened instantly. These beasts! He threw the rod and rushed to hug me. Don't be afraid, brother will take you away. His embrace was warm, smelling of stale buns, but it was the safest scent in the world. But we couldn't leave. Vincent blocked the door with more bodyguards. In his robe, he looked down at us. This is your wild man? Vincent's gaze fell on Ryan's hands holding me, eyes full of killing intent. Garbage picker? Ryan subtly shielded me behind him. Vincent, are you even human? She has only a 6-year-old's intelligence. Abusing a fool. Vincent sneered. Fool? She acts better than anyone. He waved, and bodyguards swarmed. Soon, Ryan was pinned down. Vincent walked over and stepped on Ryan's hand. Ah! Ryan grunted in pain but bit his teeth, refusing to beg. Since this hand dares touch my woman, cripple it. Vincent took the baseball bat from a bodyguard. He raised it high. No. I rushed madly. I pushed Vincent away, shielding Ryan with my scarred body. Don't hit brother. Brother gives Elena candy. You're bad. Vincent watched me protect another man like a mother hen. Jealousy distorted his face. Good, very good. He tossed the bat to a bodyguard. Since you love him so much, I'll smash his fingers one by one in front of you. The bodyguard raised the bat. Ryan struggled desperately. Elena, run. Don't mind me. I looked at the bat. I knew it would hurt a lot. I couldn't let brother hurt. My gaze fell on the fruit knife on the coffee table. That auntie said, wrongdoings require compensation. Since he wants a hand, I'll give him. I grabbed the knife. Without hesitation, I cut toward my left pinky. Squish, no. Ryan and Vincent shouted simultaneously. Blood spurted out. Intense pain blackened my vision, but I smiled. I picked up the severed pinky, trembling as I handed it to Vincent. Uncle, compensate you. Finger for you, let brother go, okay? Vincent stared at the severed finger, frozen in place. His face was paler than mine. Before I fainted from pain, I still clutched Ryan's hem. Brother, doesn't hurt. The hospital smelled bitter. When I woke, my left hand was wrapped in thick gauze. Heavy, like a stone hung there. Ryan wasn't there. Only Vincent sat by the bed. His stubble had grown, eyes full of red veins, looking more like a patient than me. Seeing me awake, his hand trembled. Elena. I shrank into the quilt, only eyes peeking out warily at him. Finger compensated you. I whispered, can I go home now? Brother is waiting. Vincent's heart felt pricked by a needle. This is your home. He said hoarsely, I'm your husband, I'm Vincent. I shook my head. No. I pointed to the distant overpass outside, that's home. This is a cage. And? I tilted my head, eyes clear yet cruel, I don't know Vincent. I only remember, husband didn't want Elena. Vincent's face turned pale instantly. At that moment, the doctor entered with reports, expression grave. Vincent, the test results are out. The doctor hung several films on the light box. The patient's hippocampus has old damage, and severe stress-induced atrophy. Simply put, her intelligence level is indeed only 5 or 6 years old. This isn't acting, it's irreversible damage. The doctor paused, pointing to another film. Also, her burns were from 3 years ago. Some wounds are deep to the bone, if not treated promptly back then, her survival is a miracle. Moreover, her leg bone had comminuted fracture, healed deformed, hence the limp. Vincent's hand holding the report trembled violently. 3 years ago. Cruise fire. He thought she was lying, that she had escaped long ago. Turns out. Impossible. Vincent muttered, she's pretending, she's the best at deceiving. Brother Vincent. Chloe rushed in, interrupting his thoughts. She carried a thermos, face anxious. This must be that garbage picker bribing the doctor. Elena used to have actress-level acting skills, this trick is nothing? Chloe pointed at me, look at her eyes, where does she look like a fool? Clearly scheming you. I looked at Chloe's ferocious face, scared and hid behind Vincent. Bad auntie, wants to kill Elena. 83 Vincent watched my instinctive reaction, then at the hysterical Chloe. For the first time, a crack appeared in his sturdy mental wall. If she was truly foolish, what had he done these 3 years? He forced a wife with 6-year-old intelligence, full of pain, into begging. Even forced her to sever a finger for atonement. Vincent felt a bloody sweetness surge in his throat. Vincent refused to believe. To verify if I was pretending, he forcibly arranged so-called rehabilitation training. Actually forcing me to dance. The villa's practice room had mirrors on all sides. I feared mirrors. The person in the mirror looked like a ghost. Leg broken, can't move. I hugged a pillar, refusing to go over. The therapist was a burly man, hired by Vincent, only obeying him. Madam, endure it. He forcibly pulled my stiff, atrophied leg. Ah. I broke into cold sweat from pain, screams echoing in the empty room. It was physiological agony. My tendons felt torn apart. Vincent, save me. I cried, instinctively calling the name etched in my bones. Vincent stood at the door, cigarette in hand. Hearing me call his name, his fingertip trembled. But he didn't move. He was waiting. Waiting for me to drop the act, stand up, and dance a perfect Swan Lake. Chloe in practice clothes, elegantly spinning nearby. Sister Elena, look, it's simple. You were the principal dancer, this pain is nothing? She spun to me, looking down at me on the ground. In a voice only we could hear, you look like a broken-legged toad. Brother Vincent is disgusted seeing you. I didn't understand toad. But I understood disgusted. Chloe covered her mouth laughing, oh, how like a duck, lying on the ground unable to get up. The word duck pierced my brain like a needle. That was what teachers used to scold poor dancers. I suddenly lunged, biting Chloe's calf hard, not letting go. Ah! Chloe screamed, kicking my head desperately. Let go. You lunatic. Vincent rushed over, pushing me away. My head hit the mirror hard. Crash, the mirror shattered. My face covered in blood, I fell among shards. Eyes vacant, staring at the ceiling. Vincent looked at the reflection. That woman with blood-smeared face, dazed eyes. Suddenly overlapping with the Elena shining on stage 3 years ago. The huge contrast suffocated him. He looked at the bite mark on Chloe's leg, then my head blood. He turned away evasively. Lock her up. No eating without my permission. He dared not look at me. The wound infected. That night, I developed a high fever. Felt thrown into a furnace. Dreams full of fire. Red flames, black smoke. And that man in the wheelchair, coldly watching me. Too far, crawl yourself. Vincent, save me. I curled on the bed, muttering non-stop. Leg hurts so much, don't leave me. The night watch servant was too tired, asleep in the front hall. The door quietly opened. Chloe slipped in. She held a pillow. Moonlight on her face, eerily terrifying. She approached the bed, hearing me call Vincent's name. Her eyes turned venomous instantly. A fool can still remember names? Elena, why don't you die? Once you're dead, brother Vincent is mine alone. She raised the pillow, pressing it hard on my face. MMPH. Suffocation hit instantly. I struggled desperately, limbs flailing. But I was too weak to push her off. Air dwindling, lungs about to explode. As my vision blackened, thinking I'd die again. The door slammed open. What are you doing? Vincent's voice thundered. He came because he was restless, to check if I was dead. Chloe startled, panically releasing. She pretended to adjust the pillow. Brother Vincent. Sister Elena seemed breathless, I was adjusting the pillow height. I gasped for fresh air. Fever caused hallucinations, I saw Vincent's face clearly. In that instant, time rewound to 3 years ago. I wasn't foolish yet, he hadn't changed heart. Husband. I cried, reaching out to grab his sleeve. Save me, it hurts. This was a lucidity like final radiance. Vincent froze. This was the first time in 3 years I called him husband. Not uncle. Husband. Tears surged in his eyes, he wanted to hug me. Elena, I'm here. But the next second, my eyes dispersed. Hand dropped weakly. I reverted to that fool. Terrified, I pointed at Chloe, shrinking into Vincent's arms. Bad auntie, wants to kill Elena, pillow, smother. Vincent turned sharply to Chloe. For the first time, doubt and killing intent in his eyes. Get out. Vincent started investigating. He had Ryan bailed from detention. When Ryan came out, he carried a black plastic bag. He threw the bag on Vincent's desk. These are what she wrote picking from trash bins. Ryan said coldly, look yourself, after you'll know what beast you are. Vincent tremblingly opened the bag. Inside were cigarette pack papers, waste newspapers, even candy wrappers. Covered in crooked writing. Some letters big, some small, like a child's. Today leg hurts a lot, raining, brother picked fever medicine for me. Medicine so bitter, want candy. Saw a man like uncle, but he didn't look at me. Am I too dirty? I really want to dance, but leg so ugly, like centipede. I don't remember who I am, but I remember loving someone. That person's name is. The name was blacked out, paper poked through. Clearly wanted to write but dared not. Vincent flipped to the last. It was a drawing. On a KFC tray paper. Depicting big fire. A man in wheelchair, back to a little girl, holding another woman running away. The girl's leg broken, crying. Below, husband doesn't want Elena. Elena doesn't want husband either. Elena will save candy for brother Ryan. A tear dropped on the paper, smudging husband. Vincent looked at the words, heart aching unbearably. He finally understood. These 3 years, what hell Elena endured. And he was the one who pushed her into it. He thought she was enjoying life, hiding from him. Actually begging, picking trash, enduring illness. And he still blamed her, tormented her. Ah! Vincent let out a beastly roar. He hugged the papers tightly, knelt on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. The truth was too heavy, crushing his spine. He looked at Ryan, eyes full of plea. Can she recover? Ryan sneered, turned and left. Vincent, belated affection is cheaper than grass. Vincent madly began compensating. He patted all sharp items in the villa. He drove Chloe out. He bought countless expensive candies, filling my room. Imported, limited, gold-foiled. He carefully held a box of exquisite chocolate to me. Elena, eat candy. He smiled uglier than crying, all yours, eat as much as you want. I glanced at the box, shook my head. No. I stepped back, this isn't wrapped in paper, dirty. I pulled from my pocket the candy wrapper he stepped on, which I secretly picked up. Unfolded like treasure. Still stained with dirt. This is sweet. I licked the wrapper, showing a satisfied smile. Vincent's heart twisted like a knife. That was what he crushed himself. He tried to hug me, wanting to take the dirty wrapper. Elena, that's dirty, don't eat. Ah! I screamed, dodging, hugging my head, squatting. Uncle, don't hit me. I'll obey. I won't eat candy. Don't hit hand. Vincent's hand froze midair. He collapsed. Thud. He knelt before me. Elena, I'm Vincent, your husband, look at me, okay? He cried like a lost child. Grabbing my skirt hem, humble to the dust. I was wrong, really wrong, hit me, okay? Don't fear me. I tilted my head, looking at this strange man. Eyes clear, yet cruel. Uncle, your leg isn't broken, why kneel? I pointed at his leg, you want to beg too? But I have no candy. No matter how he explained, begged. In my world, there was no Vincent anymore. Only bad uncle and good brother. Vincent finally understood. Some hurts last a lifetime. Forgetting was his greatest punishment. Chloe was unwilling. Ruined and driven from luxury, she wanted to drag me down. She incited company shareholders, forcing Vincent to bring me to a press conference. Reason: if Vincent's wife was crazy, it would affect stock prices. Vincent wanted to refuse. But I overheard Chloe's call, saying Ryan was waiting at the conference. To find Ryan, I sneaked out when bodyguards weren't watching. At the conference site. Flashes like lightning, click click. I was terrified, clueless, standing on stage shivering. Brother Ryan. I whispered. Chloe suddenly rushed from backstage, pretending to fall, grabbing my long skirt hem. Ouch. As I walked forward. Rip, the skirt slid off sharply. The scene fell dead silent. Under HD lenses, my legs twisted, burn scars like tree roots were fully exposed. On the thigh, even a chunk of flesh missing. That was from saving Vincent back then, smashed by a beam. Ugly. Hideous. Like centipedes crawling over once fair legs. Reporters gasped. Live comments exploded, oh God. This is abuse. Didn't they say she faked illness? Are these wounds fake? Those are old wounds. From 3 years ago. Didn't Vincent say she was unharmed? I panicked trying to cover my legs, crying, "Don't look. Ugly. Elena ugly. Don't look at centipedes." Vincent madly rushed on stage. He took off his suit, wrapping trembling me tightly. Eyes blood red, roaring at cameras, "Scram. I'll scram. Whoever shoots, I'll kill him." He held me like rare treasure. But too late. 1:45 at this moment, everyone saw the truth. Vincent's devoted image collapsed. Chloe's viciousness was exposed by netizens. I shrank in Vincent's arms, still crying, "Skirt broken, will be beaten again." Vincent's tears dripped on my face, scalding. "No beating, no one dares beat Elena." Chloe went completely mad, becoming a despised rat, decided to drag me down. While Vincent handled public opinion, she bribed the driver, kidnapping me to a suburban abandoned factory. Fire again. Chloe splashed gasoline, igniting surrounding waste tires. "Elena, go die." Chloe held the lighter, laughing maniacally, "Once you're dead, brother Vincent is mine. He'll only remember me." Raging fire awakened my deepest fear. Fire, fire. I hugged my head screaming, as if back to the cruise 3 years ago. That was hell. Vincent and Ryan arrived simultaneously. "Stop." Vincent's eyes bulged in rage. Chloe saw Vincent, laughed happier. "Brother Vincent, you're here? Perfect, we die together." She threw the lighter. Boom. Fire raged out of control, beams falling. Vincent and Ryan rushed into the inferno. Fire too big. Could only save one. This time, Vincent didn't hesitate. He rushed to me, pushing away the falling burning beam. Just like I saved him back then. Bang! Burning wood smashed Vincent's back heavily, crushing his leg. Puff, he spat blood, but protected me fiercely. "Elena, don't fear." He looked at me, eyes gentle like water, "This time, my turn to save you. Go." He pushed me to arriving Ryan. "Take her away." Ryan scooped me up, rushing out. Vincent trapped in fire. Beam pinned his leg, immobile. I lay on Ryan's shoulder, glancing back. In firelight. Vincent watched me. He waited. For even a trace of reluctance from me. But none. My eyes held only fear of fire. "Run, brother, run." I urged Ryan, not glancing at the man engulfed by fire. Vincent watched my indifferent back. In the blaze, he showed a bleak smile. This was retribution. He didn't save me then. Now, I don't save him. Fair. Vincent didn't die. Firefighters arrived timely, but he was severely injured, comatose for 3 months. Upon waking, his legs truly paralyzed. Smashed nerves, never stand again. His first thing upon waking was finding me. "Where's Elena?" Assistant bowed head, dared not look. "Vincent." Ryan took Madam, no, Miss Elena, away. "Where?" "Don't know, no one can find." Vincent madly searched the world. Sold company, villa, just to find that candy-loving foolish girl. A year later. In a remote seaside town. Vincent finally found me. Under sunset. I wore a clean floral dress, clumsily spinning on the beach. Though still limping, I smiled happily. Ryan sat nearby, holding a pack of white rabbit milk candies, peeling for me. "Brother, more." I opened my mouth like a fledgling bird. Ryan indulgently stuffed candy in my mouth, "Eat less, teeth will rot." Vincent in wheelchair. Across a white railing, watching from afar. Tears dried up. He pushed the wheelchair, wanting to approach. Wheelchair rolling on sand caught my attention. I stopped, turned. Saw him. Vincent's heart in his throat. He opened his mouth, wanting to call my name. But I just glanced faintly. Eyes strange, wary. Like looking at a passerby, or a beggar. I turned, hid behind Ryan, pointing at Vincent. "Brother, there's a strange uncle. He keeps staring at my candy." Ryan looked up, coldly glancing at Vincent. That look had mockery, and Victor's pity. Ryan took my hand, blocking Vincent's view. "Ignore him." Ryan gently said, "That's a beggar." I nodded, enlightened. "Oh, so pitiful." I balled the just-peeled candy wrapper. Walked to trash bin, threw it in. Then held Ryan's hand, walked away without looking back. "Brother, are we going to eat fish?" "Yes, eat fish." Sunset stretched our shadows long. Vincent sat alone in wheelchair, watching my back vanish in light and shadow. Trembling hands, he pushed wheelchair to the bin. Ignoring dirt, picked up the wrapper I threw. Clutched tightly in hand. Pressed to chest. "Elena." He sobbed uncontrollably, crying like a world-abandoned waste. Sea breeze blew, carrying away the last sigh. Vincent didn't leave. He rented a tin shack 200 meters from the seaside White House. Damp, cold, full of fish smell. But he felt at paradise, because opening window he could see Elena. Seaside humidity high, paralyzed legs senseless, developed bedsores. Ulcerated, pus flowing, stinking. He didn't go to hospital, nor take medicine. Just pressed that wrapper under nose, sniffing desperately. As if residual sweetness could cover his rot. On winter's entry day, strong sea wind. Elena wore red wool hat, piling sand people in yard. Ryan went inside for scarf. Wind blew my hat off, it rolled to under the tin shack window. I squatted to pick, looked up, saw Vincent in window. Vincent emaciated, sunken eyes, like a skeleton. Scared, he wanted to hide, but wheelchair stuck. Through glass, I curiously examined him. Vincent held breath, heart pounding. He thought, even if she calls him bad uncle. I looked for seconds, suddenly grinned. I pulled a candy from pocket, peeled, stuffed in mouth. Then breathed on window. Glass fogged. I drew a smiley on fog. "Uncle, cold day, wear more clothes." Then, put on hat, hopped away. Ryan chased out with scarf, wrapped me snugly. Vincent stiff in wheelchair, tears stinging his cracked face. I didn't recognize him, completely. In my eyes, he was just a strange vagrant needing care. No hate even. Only forgetting.